I am happy that my CryptoQ Media channel is back online. I have some quick updates regarding the SEC's appeal of the judge's decision in the SEC v Ripple case to provide, but I'd rather spend the majority of this video answering a question that I keep getting asked by some XRP community members. Oh, and our community is full of fascinating and enthusiastic people. It might seem daunting to deal with a community the size of ours, which is, let's face it, one of the largest crypto communities ever, with millions of members. But if you're part of a large enough group that shares a shared interest, you can experience everything that God created. Do I have my point across to you? Some of those monsters have a penchant for conspiracy theories, but you'll get a taste of everything. That was then, and this is now simply a product of my personality and the way my mind functions. Be sure to provide solid proof to support any bold claims you make. If you didn't provide supporting evidence, I might just write off your assertion as coincidence. And if you haven't really considered the consequences, I might even think you're suggesting crazy ideas. I will pass along the information that has been shared with you, but please contact me if you have any verification or if anything is missing. When you think I'm wrong or ignorant, to rephrase. You reassured me that was alright, and I'd love to talk about it on the channel if you could just give me a demonstration. I won't pretend ignorance when it comes to people's statements, simply because I haven't seen proof to support their extreme assertions just yet. For instance, could the SEC have attempted to prevent XRP from participating in the 2020 bull run? Was it a coincidence that the SEC v Ripple ruling was being appealed at the same time that Bitwise announced their intention to establish the XRP ETF with the SEC, and Ripple was about to launch their stablecoin, RL, USD also, lightning quick? Swift recently announced, in case you missed it, that they are broadening their testing to include real-world applications for digital asset transactions. The SEC's most recent appeal coincided with the emergence of these last three developments. Could it be that there is, in fact, corruption or a plot? I believe we ought to talk about it, actually. Here is a message from attorney James K. Fillon addressing the case of SEC v Ripple, updating us on the status of this appeal. He went on to say that he had written the file and that it is currently being processed in the Second Circuit's PACER docketing system for appeals. Named SEC v Ripple Labs Incorporated. This case involves a legal disagreement. Furthermore, the reference number for this case is 242648. So, what exactly is involved in the docketing process for an appeal? I had to paste this on the internet to be sure I had it right, but when the clerk of the Court of Appeals does, an appeal is docket. When an appeal begins with the clerk of the Court of Appeals, we say that it is docket. My apologies, I just typed it. Alternatively, the process of docketing an appeal starts when the record is filed and the appeal is added to the docket by the clerk of the Court of Appeals. All that remains is for the appeal court to pay the docket fee and receive the record from the clerk of the district court. Something has happened, and I wanted to let you know about it even though this is only a filing update. This is progressing. How alluring the SEC actually is still up in the air. At this point, I think it's practically guaranteed. All we can say for now is that programmatic sales are having an impact. The most recent update came yesterday, the day after we found out about the appeal. This information is taken directly from Swift's official X account. Terrific update. Beginning in the new year, the Swift network will host the first round of experiments for monetary and digital asset transactions. It was shared by a crypto expert you know, who predicted that those who doubt XRP will be overjoyed. The timing is completely off. Haha, right. I knew, then, that my initial reaction would be one of fear that some people will make assumptions without enough evidence. This report was authored by a chart analyst from 360 Trader. It seems like he buys into the narrative. Just so we're clear, I have nothing personal against those who hold this belief. I have my doubts unless you can provide proof to support your assertion. That makes perfect sense to me. And claim isn't enough to convince someone like me, you need the other as well. That is not reasonable, and I will let you know if my opinion changes. You can't have the upper hand without evidence. Indeed, that makes sense. Nonetheless, 360 traders asserted that the powers that be had this planned all along. Actually, clues can exchange messages. You can find the announcement on the SWIFT website. Okay, I'm not sure who they are or what they represent. This is essentially yesterday's news release, which I read in its entirety. It is likely superfluous to read everything on this site word for word. I'll be completely forthright and admit that it lacks specificity. Here they are having a conversation. Let me read you a little passage from it. In recent testing, we proved that we can join public and private blockchains, connect digital currencies issued by central banks worldwide, and interconnect networks of digital assets and currencies. Our current focus is on progressing beyond mere experimentation. It appears that we are completely clueless about what that means. It should be noted that this does not suggest that they are trying to imitate Ripple in any kind. So, if you think this is the reason why Ripple's petitions were refused and their hammers were dropped on Ripple, and now the Swiss are pulling out these incredible feats at the perfect moment, then you couldn't be more wrong. A number of variables are involved. To start, know that not even they have clarified this on their website, so we are completely in the dark as to what it signifies. Traditional and digital currencies, as well as cash transactions, are being brought up. If this is the case, then a bank that is connected to SWIFT could theoretically move Bitcoin from one account to another, eliminating the need for a bridge currency and allowing the transfer of the asset itself to take place. Maybe that's the case, I really don't know. The phrase is never spoken. Part of the coin is owned by every single bank on the SWIFT network. Just to clarify, that amounts to almost 11,000 banks. The concept that the US federal government is forcing 11,000 banks, whether it's the SEC or another agency, is, in my opinion, illogical. Putting aside the reality that this allure does little to prevent Ripple from competing with SWIFT, let's continue. More specifically, any appeals concerning institutional transactions employing XRP as a bridge currency will not impact Ripple because the SEC has previously prevailed over institutions on this topic. The odds of success for Ripple increase if the company files an appeal simultaneously with the other party. However, the SEC will have limited options if they are unable to retain them. Since the programmatic side includes things like Ripple sales on exchanges, I mentioned that I think it will be the SEC's weak spot. Their argument that it has nothing to do with SWIFT, their competitor, can take advantage of this. Nothing at all. There is not a single one. On top of that, Ripple's ability to do business would be unaffected by an appeal of the penalty and disgorgement judgment, making it even more bizarre. Nothing Ripple does will have any impact on the institutional side of things. People can continue using XRP everywhere they go and taking advantage of stablecoin on-demand liquidity regardless of the outcome of this appeal. It means a lot to me that you watched my video. Please subscribe to my channel, I'd really appreciate it. Until next time.